Attracting the love of your life is a lot easier than you think. We just have to go inward and create what we want. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Let's go get that nugget. Welcome, ladies, to the Life Mastery for Women podcast. I'm Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind, your host. This is where we go to learn to master our life one nugget at a time. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I am finding you living the life with the love of your life. If you're not living your life with the love of your life, then it is my intention that in today's episode, I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. Relationships are a big part of who we are, right? They're the people that we spend our life with. They're the people that we live our highs and lows, or we build a family, or we sometimes build a business. But we build a life with this other person. And sometimes that person becomes not the person we want to be with anymore, or the relationship begins to change and evolve that doesn't really fit our needs. So either you're single or you're in a relationship that you're not quite attracted to anymore, or it's not quite working anymore. This episode is for you. I remember, and I'm not going to talk about a lot. I talk about it already a lot in my other episodes. I started having some relationships when I was younger that were just not that great. They were not healthy. They were not healthy. We'll leave it at that. And but I did notice one thing, that as I became a better person and I became a little bit more evolved, then I attracted different people in my life. I remember thinking when I was probably in 7th grade, I had my first boyfriend. I think it lasted 3 days. And it was really like, hey, do you want to go out with me? And I'm like, sure, and it was like 3 days. And, we were walking to math class together, and we had a locker next to each other. And that was pretty much it, And 3 days later, he's like, okay, I don't want to date you anymore. I'm like, okay. It was like, so 7th grade, right? And then as I got older and started dating different people and then of course struggling with my own sexuality and in this Catholic community, you just don't spout off that you're gay, right? You just don't do that. And anyway, but as my life began to evolve, my idea of the person I wanted to spend my life with began to evolve. And sometimes I was already with somebody when my life evolved, and I'm like, wait, you're not really who I want to be with anymore. Like, we don't have that stuff in common, or some of the behavior that you're doing is not conducive to a healthy relationship, and vice versa. So as I'm figuring things out, they're figuring things out, and somehow it just wasn't cohesive. But as we evolve, so one of the things I want to say, like, as we evolve in life, our perspective changes. I remember thinking when I was probably in 9th grade or so, and I'm like, I just want a boyfriend who's cute and who can dance and who loves music. That was kind of my whole criteria. So then I start dating this guy, and I really like him, and we date through 9th grade and 10th grade. But then he smoked. And I'm like, ew. And he just kind of stunk. And he just like had this smoker's yuck about him. And I'm like, I don't really, and whatever. And then we sort of broke up for a little while. And then I started dating this other guy. And I'm just like, now my criteria is you have to like music, you have to dance, and not smoke. Well, he chewed tobacco. And I'm like, seriously? So then I just kept like changing my criteria. Well, of course, I'm like in 10th and 11th grade, right? I don't have any idea what I want to date, obviously, because these are boys that I'm dating in school. So it became, my criteria got clearer and clearer as I got clearer and clearer. So I want to today is to talk about, for those of you that are single, or those of you that are in relationships that maybe are just, they're just not working for you anymore, is that you think about what it is that you do want. Now, you could take your current relationship or your past relationships and go, okay, here's what he or she does that I don't like. Okay, then you're going to make a note of that and go, okay, well, if she didn't do that, what did she do? Like I didn't want anybody who was involved in drugs, or I didn't want somebody who smoked. So if they didn't, they were what? Oh, well, they were maybe health conscious. And now I think of somebody who is like worldly, who wants to travel, or who wants to expand, and who wants to kind of take some risks in life, not just get in life and sit still, don't buy the car and sit in the driveway, right? And so when you're figuring that out, This is kind of the sifting through life, and who do I want to spend my life with? What are the things that are important to me? What do I value? I value health. I want to be with someone who values health. I value a sense of humor. I want to know that person that I'm going to be with has a sense of humor. I love music and dancing and activity, and I love moving and climbing and hiking and kayaking. I want to be with somebody who does that. And if we're parenting, if that's on your agenda, if that's on your list, then how do we parent together? What are my beliefs about parenting? What are my beliefs about food and the kids and eating and sports and schooling, and how am I going to deliver consequences, and how am I going to spend time, and all of the things that encompass everything about you. Now, if you're already currently in a relationship, you might just have to have some of these conversations. I'm not saying you have to leave your partner. It's about being open, and it's about making change, and it's about growing together. And I think that it's really important for you to understand what it is that you want in a life partner. And when I remember trying to figure this out, and I made a list. I wrote down a piece of paper. Now, some of those things are things that were really important. There's probably 25 items on this list. Then go through the list and go, what are the deal breakers? What are the things that if they didn't have this, I would not be interested in them? What are some of the things that would be on the list that they must have this thing, right? And figuring out what's important to you. So then, now that's the big fun part, is kind of, we've talked about in the last couple of episodes, is like creating an avatar. And now it's about creating the relationship that you want. What kind of intimacy do you want? What are some of the things that you value? What do you guys do for quality time? What are you social or not social? What's your household like? What are things you watch on TV? What are the things that you go and do for fun? How do you spend your money? All of these are really important clarity pieces. I think people get out of college and they sort of like somebody, and then they get married and they have kids, and then they're like, oh shit, 4 years later, they're like, we totally have nothing in common. Or I'm making the money and she's spending the money, or we do not parent kids the same way, and that's stressful on both of us. It's stressful for the kids because they don't know what the hell's going on. So all of these pieces. Now, of course, you can't see around every corner, right? I didn't see around every single corner of dating these guys. I'm like, okay, I just want to date somebody who doesn't smoke. Well, then I get somebody who's chewing tobacco, and I'm like, seriously? So describe what you want. Then I want you to visualize. I want you to spend time in the workshop, which is what I call it, this internal space, the workshop of what would you do? Bring that person into your dream, let's say, into your dream world, and go, what would we do on a regular basis? Where are we working? What are we doing for play? Where are we going? Do we travel together? Because you find somebody who doesn't travel and you want to travel, that person's going to feel like an anchor to you. Trust me, I've been there. Then in the physical world, make room for them. So I had a friend who she was divorced, and it had been a good handful of years, and she was ready to start dating again. And so we go through this exercise, and I'm like, okay, make the list and, write some stuff down and figure out what it is that you want and whatever. So make this whole list, and she's getting kind of excited. She's like, it's kind of scary to enter the dating field again, but it's kind of exciting. I want to spend my life with somebody. And I said, okay, now like feel into having, she goes, I can totally feel it. It would be so fun and it'd be so romantic. And, here's the description of our relationship. And then I'm like, okay, so start doing that, and then putting yourself in these positions of where you might find this person, right? Not forcing it, but just kind of go with the flow. Starting to tap in intuitively of where you might go to find this love of your life. Well, then what would happen is that she would find this guy, and they would hit it off really well, and they would become friends and date and whatever. And then it would just all of a sudden it would end. It'd be like 3 months in, and he would stop calling her. And then it would just kind of end. Something would happen and it would end. She's like, I just don't understand. And this went on for like a year, and we'd do it again, and well, then we had a coaching session at her house, and I noticed that she was not physically making room for this person in her life, meaning she's got a ton of clothes. She sleeps diagonally across the bed. She parks in the middle of the garage. And I said, I just had this idea. And I'm like, I said, not saying that you start dating and the person has to move in, but let's make room in our world for this potential relationship. So I said, what side of the bed would you sleep on if you slept on whatever side of the bed? If you had a partner, what side? She goes, I sleep on this side. I said, I want you to start sleeping on that side. I said, I want you to start making room. So go through your closet, get rid of stuff, move things, or condense things in some way to make room, physical room for this person in your life. And I said, if you were to park your car and somebody else were here in this 2-car garage, where would you park your car? I'd park my car on this side. Great, park your car on that side from now on. So she started to make room in her world for this person. 3 months later, she's engaged. 6 months after that, they get married and he moves in with her. And it became this miraculous thing that we have to start on the inward when we're creating something. We have to start and ask ourselves. Now, there's nothing wrong with living the mystery. There's nothing wrong with living the mystery of like, what is the universe going to give me? That is all part of the sifting through the world experience, is just going through the process and just being curious, going, what am I going to get now? What jobs are out there and what careers? I could get any career, and who should I date? Where should we go? Right? It's just all part of the exploring of whatever the universe brings you. Eventually, you get tired of the whatever the universe brings you, and you want to move to the process of creation. When you move to the process of creation, this is when you start taking your life more seriously. It's fun to just let the universe bring you whatever you want. So like a restaurant, go ahead, waiters, I'm open. Bring me whatever you want. I'm going to stay here all day long. And they bring you cakes and pies and tacos and soups and a steak and a sandwich and chicken and a salad. But then eventually you're like, okay, I'm hungry now. Like now I want to get what I want. This is when we go inward and we begin to create that life that we want to live. Instead of going, I just don't know. If you're done waiting for the person, then I say, create the person. I say, create the avatar. And oddly enough, that's what I did when I was able to create, literally, you guys, out of nowhere, out of thin air, I created my relationship with Amy. Amy and I have been together now since it's been 12 years, be 13 years in March. And it's amazing. Like, we laugh all the time. We have a ton in common. We're in business together. We spend hours and hours together, and it's just like, it's amazing. It's fun and it's funny, and we laugh hard, and we really truly love each other, and we really truly are best friends. Most people see us and they like, especially if you're single and you're hurting and or you're in a relationship that is you don't like anymore. Most people don't want to be around us. But they think we're like newlyweds. They think, you guys are so sweet and it's so cute. How long have you been together? Like, did you guys just meet? We're like, dude, we've been together for 12 years. They're like, what? They can't even believe it. We sometimes can't even believe it, how well we get along, especially me. Like, it's hard to get along with me. I can be moody, and I can be inconsistent, but she does such a beautiful job. She really does. She's a beautiful woman. She is so amazing. And I want you to have the same thing. I tell my clients, who are not happily married or who are not happily in relationships, that it's like, I want you to have what I have. And if I can have it, you can have it. Because I searched high and low for the perfect partner, and I have her now. And I know for a fact that there's a perfect partner out there for you. Now it's a matter of putting it on a piece of paper. Who do I want to be with? What is that personality like? What do they look like? What do they do for fun? What is their life like? Are they going places? What do they do for work? What do they view about things? How do they view religion and spirituality or politics or families or money, right? Or health, like some of the values that you have. Then after that, it's about elevating your own being to attract that person. Back then, when I am little Miss Negative Nancy and I'm, somewhere in my 20s, what was I attracting? I was attracting other negative people like myself. I was at a 3 as a vibration from 0 to 10, and 10 being the most amazing. I'm a 3. Well, all the people that I'm attracting to be in my life are 3s. I can't even see anybody who's higher than that, right? And I remember a friend of mine setting me up on a blind date with this person. And I'm like 3, and this person's like a 7, and I'm just like, no way. And all I could think about when I was on a date with this person is, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for them. And we wouldn't have matched for that reason. Our vibration just was too far apart. So when it becomes, I want to elevate into a relationship that is solid, that is healthy, that's amazing, that's beautiful, that's intimate, that's passionate, that's safe, that's my best friend, then I must elevate myself to match that. Because if I don't believe that I deserve that, I'm not going to attract it. If I don't believe that I'm worthy of having a relationship that is so flipping amazing, then I won't be able to attract it into my life. That's what I'm talking about. So then the work becomes, after you put that out there, you put out what you want. You put out what you want. You start to decide, you start to make some decisions, and it's okay if you don't, like I said, you can't see around every single corner. It's okay. But you start to put some stuff down. You start to get some ideas. Then from there, you make physical room in your environment. Then the work is about you. It's about you elevating you. And it becomes this beautiful experience because you are preparing yourself for what it is you want to create. I love doing this because I really feel like we're in the driver's seat. We can start playing with the energy, and you're going to have ups and downs, and there's going to be things that work out and there's going to be things that don't. And it's okay. We just keep going inward and continuing to connect. As you continue to connect, you continue to have the support of your intuition that is going to guide you, that is going to lead you on the path to that success, on the path to finding that relationship. I believe in you, and I hope that you can just be open and curious enough that allows you to move in this direction to get what you want and to be able to find that curiosity of, I wonder who is out there for me. Or I wonder how I can make improvements in my own relationship right now. Because as I improve, my life improves. And when my life improves, now I get to enjoy what I've created. Wow, that may have felt like a lot of information in today's episode, but if you're looking for support and a deeper knowledge of what we talked about today, then let's connect. You can learn more about how I work and how you can work with me. Send me an email to the meditationroomtc@gmail.com, subject line, let's talk. And in the meantime, you can join my online Facebook community, Lady Rising, and mention that you came in through the podcast. I look forward to supporting you and connecting with you there.